Okay, so getting started with the actual implementation of some Tailwind components, I'm going to start by going into my pages/index.astro file, where the landing page for this project is going to exist. So in this project, we've got a header navigation. It can switch to dark and light mode, but I'm going to ignore that for now and just make things a little bit more complicated. We've got a logo that also acts as like the website logo, the portrait right there. We have this hero component that kind of describes like the header for what this page is all about. We got some images that are neatly arranged, very artsy. And then down here we have some articles. Let's start just with the text up here, as that'll be a lot more simpler and easy to get into. So you can make this text whatever you want. For simplicity's sake, I'm just going to copy it over so we get something in here. And for this description right here, I'm going to make a p tag and copy that text in there. You know that might prettier formats the text if it gets too long. And what does that look like on it here at this point? Let's see, we got the H1 and the P tag. Although this doesn't look like a H1, that's because Tailwind resets all of our styles, so they're not going to be having H1-like styles until we tell it to, and we do that with Tailwind classes. So let's start by making this text bigger. I'm going to put text 5XL, and you can use 4XL, 3XL, you can do text medium, text small, whichever one you like. And this is going to make it quite a bit larger. I did cheat ahead of time before I recorded this. I took a look at what these styles actually are, so that way I don't have to look this up and waste a bunch of time with that. Cheating is okay sometimes. I'm also going to make the text bold. And I'm going to change the color. So in Tailwind, to change the color, you would go like this. You would go text, and then the name of the color. In this case, there's something called zinc. And then you can select the weight of that. Like if I were to do 950, I'll get this nice dark color. Then if I do 600, get something more faded. But in this case, 950 will do for us. Okay. I want to increase the gap between these two because you'll see that there should be a gap right there. So to do that, I'm going to put a margin bottom on this. And Tailwind margin bottom can be applied by going M, B, dash, and then some number. In this case, I'll go 4 to create a small margin between the text here and whatever's below it. You can also do MB, MT for top, ML for left, MR for right, MX for both right and left, or MY for both top and bottom. In this case, MB will do just fine for us, but we can adjust this later if we need to. So now we have a bit of a gap. So let's apply some styles to the P tag as well. I'm going to keep the size the same for now. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll make that bigger too. Let's see. Text LG. That's roughly right. And then I'm going to change the color to zinc as well, but this one's going to be a more muted zinc color of 600. Like that. And then at this point we have our text for our hero. Let's format this a little bit. Let's put it in a box so that we can give it some padding left and right. So I'm going to wrap it in a div. And for that div, I'm going to go padding x 8. Let's just see what that looks like. So now we have gaps on the front and the end. Maybe you want to make that a little bit larger because we have a bit more of a gap to cover right there. Let's make that 12, see how that fares. Alright, that looks a lot more closer to what we've got on the page. For those icons, I'm going to get them from a website called simpleicons.org. And here we'll be able to grab some brand. For example, GitHub. They got some brand guidelines. They have the color that you're supposed to use. And then there's a way to download it. So why don't I download and see what we get here? We get an SVG file. Actually, you know what? Should be able to copy and paste that. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to put it into my project in the public directory. Let's go. We'll call it GitHub icon.svg. We get an SVG. So now I should be able to import this and use it in my project just to make sure that that works. I'll try to put it right in here. Let us import GitHub icon from. Okay, and to add this GitHub icon, I'm going to place it in my code as JSX right here. I'm going to give it a width of 20. So with Astro, when we import a SVG file, we can use it directly as JSX, and we can use all the top level attributes of the SVG element, like the fill and the width and the height. In this case, I give it a width of 20 because that, is roughly what we're looking for. I'm also going to wrap it in an anchor tag so that way it actually links to somewhere. So I'm going to go github.com/my handle, losonq, and put that inside of it. I'm going to give it a target a blank so that way when you click it, it doesn't remove you from the page. Very good. Opens a new tab. And I'm going to do the same thing with the X icon. X icon.svg. When I imported that, I gave it a different name. Does it exist? Did I? No, that's definitely what it is. Let me try to restart my Astro. If something fails to import, you might just be able to restart Astro. And yeah, there you go. Okay, one more thing I want to do is I want to arrange this into a row. So I'm going to give it a class of flex. And then I'm going to give it a gap of 8 to put some space between them. Alright, at this point we have some header text for our portfolio page. We're going to have a couple icons that direct users to my Twitter where I post about very useful stuff. And that'll do it for this video. In the next one, we'll keep on churning away the components on this landing page.